He never goes away. At least people like The Rock and Sting show up and they go away for a while. But John Cena's face never seems to go away. We're dreaming about him at night. We're seeing him on WWE all the time. We're thinking about him every single day when we're doing our everyday life procedures. I mean, he's haunting us, if anything. He just is one of these people that refuses to die, refuses to go away. He needs to be flushed down that proverbial toilet. The thing about Mick Foley was, you said about Mick Foley how he was this shit turd that no matter how many times you flush the toilet and pull the handle down, that piece of shit would always float back to the top of the surface. You said that about Mick Foley for years, and I think the same thing, the same kind of logic, the same kind of perspective can be said about John Cena. He's this shit turd that always finds a way to float back up to the proverbial surface. Why would you say something like that about Mick Foley and get away with it for years? How can we not say the same thing about John Cena? John Cena and Mick Foley are kind of in the same proverbial boat. They are the same kind of shit turd that is always floating back up to the proverbial surface, and they never go away. I think that John Cena is just one of these faces that is just there to irritate someone like me who likes the Hulk Hogan's, who likes the Stone Cold Steve Austin's, who likes the Bret Hart's, who likes the Shawn Michaels, who still thinks we're stuck in the 1980s or 1990s and these wrestlers can still wrestle like they did 25, 30 years ago. And you can say what you want about me. I will admit to you, I have no shame in admitting that I am a huge fan of these legends. If it was legends against new talent superstars in the Survivor Series scenario, with the winners reigning supreme in the WWE, I would be all for the legends. I have been for the legends my entire life, and maybe this is where this frustration lies and kind of is derived from when it comes to these new talent, these wrestlers, John Cena and Randy Orton, who think they can steal their proverbial thunder. I mean, how does John Cena get away with stealing the proverbial thunder of someone like The Undertaker, who has been there for 26 years in 2016? We're coming up on The Undertaker's 26th year by WrestleMania 32. And that's why I'm talking about Sting versus The Undertaker in what could be The Undertaker's final match, because we're coming up on 26 years of The Undertaker, and God knows how many metamorphoses we've seen The Undertaker go through since 1990. Since his debut, he's been the Phenom, the American Badass, the Dead Man, and now the Legend, the untouchable of the untouchable characters in WWE. There's only one Undertaker, just as there's been only one Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And in my opinion, these characters are the untouchables, and in my opinion, their thunders should not be stolen by people like John Cena and Randy Orton, which is what's happening here. The Undertaker runs through Bray Wyatt. Why? Because we have the spotlight to John Cena and his match with Rusev, where he wins the U.S. title, which he didn't need. By the way, he didn't need the U.S. Championship. He needs to just come to this pivotal point of realization, which I think he's slowly but surely getting to, if he's not already gotten to it, where he needs to quit. This I Quit match is the perfect way to get rid of John Cena. Have him quit in the match with Rusev. This is what, their fourth or fifth match in the series. This is the final chapter, and I hope to God it is. And I hope the way it ends for John Cena is he quits. He disgraces the U.S. title and he goes for a year or 2 years. If he goes, here's what's going to happen. He's going to go, yes, but he is going to come back. Why is he going to come back? Because he's their go-to guy. He's their cash cow. He's the one making the ratings go high. He's the one putting the butts in the seats. He's the one selling the merchandise. So if he goes for 1 or 2 years, whatever the case may be, he's going to come back again. We haven't seen the last of John Cena. You say we haven't seen the last of The Undertaker year after year, and I think the same thing can be said about someone like John Cena. No matter how many times they tease this is the end for John Cena, he always finds a way to come crawling back. He's the cat that always comes back. He's the person that never goes away or dies, refuses to die. Remember when Matt Hardy said he refused to die? That was his gimmick in 2005, 2006 with this whole Edge Lita affair thing that we got 10 years ago. Well, the same thing can be said about John Cena. He's one of these characters that refuses to die and refuses to go away. And I don't think that I've ever hated anyone, for the record, as much as what I've hated John Cena in the last 10 years. But I have more than one reason to back up my claim as to why I hate John Cena. He's always the man. He's always in the main events. He's always in the pay-per-views. He's kind of like how Triple H was in 2004, 2005. Always champion, always in the main events, never wanting to die. This never wanting to die attitude and this so happy to be in the position that I'm in kind of attitude, I really hate. That's why I think that when Shawn Michaels went DX on us all with Triple H, that was the reprieve Shawn Michaels was looking for to really help define the first half of his career before he went down with a major back injury. It was unfortunate that he went down with a major back injury and couldn't run with the DX persona as much as what he wanted to because he believed that wasn't his time to go, but that's what happened. But at least before he went down for 5 years, 4 or 5 years, he defined the first half of his career and was able to carry on with his legacy 4 years after he went down with a back injury because people knew him for being the man who had defined his career by having this, DX kind of persona that really was ran with from 1997 to 1998 with Shawn Michaels before DX was revamped with new members and Triple H picking up where Shawn Michaels left. I think it's really important for a wrestler to get to a point where they define their careers, which is why I think it's time for John Cena to get to that pivotal point where he defines his career. If he hasn't already gotten to that pivotal point, realizing, it's time to step down, is now. And I think that only good things can come from John Cena stepping down. I think that people like Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler would finally get their chance. They would be able to reconcile here if John Cena left. And I think that the chances that they should have gotten when John Cena was the man would finally be given to them. I mean, 1 or 2 matches with John Cena really doesn't help define Dolph Ziggler. 1 match with Daniel Bryan defeating John Cena doesn't help define him. He's got to get to the top of the mountain, and he's got to stay there in the way of a Dolph Ziggler or Daniel Bryan to define their careers. And I think the only way for them to do that is for people like John Cena and Randy Orton to go through the proverbial door, because Randy Orton, in my opinion, no matter how much I have claimed that I like Randy Orton, still fits into that category of a John Cena. I try to convince myself, I like someone like Randy Orton as opposed to John Cena, but then I realize, they're in the same category. And while they're in the same category and they're always on top, people like Seth Rollins and Daniel Bryan are always going to take a back seat and be put on the back burner, and that's unfortunate because you have so much talent that's kind of just kicking around and kind of just there in WWE. It shouldn't be about who you're on the show with. It shouldn't be about being on a show with John Cena for someone like Dolph Ziggler or Daniel Bryan, just as it was being on a show with Hulk Hogan and how much that meant to your career in the way of a Roddy Piper back in 91 or 92. It shouldn't be that way. It should be about work ethic and who is actually the best. And I hate the idea of how John Cena is supposed to be the best. By the time he was 10-time champion, he was the best. He was considered the best. Who cares about Hulk Hogan? Who cares about Stone Cold Steve Austin and what they've left behind? You're just the best because you're a 10-time champion, and you're getting closer all the time to beating Ric Flair's record and surpassing his legacy. I hate the idea of how WWE really ran with that. It's time to get away from that, and it's time to start something new. And they had better start creating new stars sooner than what we want them to, because if they don't, they're going to be stuck in a proverbial corner, a precarious position, which there's going to be no way out of. It's going to be impenetrable for WWE to get away from it all, and it's just unfortunate. And the ones who are suffering in all of this are the wrestling fans, and I really feel for you, because John Cena, at this point in the game, doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon. Although it may be seeming like we're coming to the end of John Cena's 13-year career, it doesn't seem like it's going to be coming to an end anytime soon, because he's still their cash cow. He's still their go-to guy, and he's just one of these issues that is never going to see a point of correction, and that's really unfortunate. But that's why our headline is Just Quit, and how Jonathan Clarke believes that it's time for John Cena to just quit WWE, because I really do believe that it's time for him to go, and that's why you've seen so many videos popping up on our YouTube channel and on our news feed for our Facebook and our Twitter about how I believe it's time for John Cena to go. I will never cover up the fact or deny for you that I wanted John Cena gone for quite some time, just as I have Triple H and the Authority and these executive authority members in WWE who believe they're of higher power and higher roles within the company behind the proverbial closed door, who allow all the time that we have no idea about politics and professional wrestling and a political point of view with professional wrestling, because wrestling fans have more of a political view than what we're ever given credit for, and we know more about politics than what's kept behind the proverbial closed door. I hate the idea of how WWE are ran by a bunch of corporate ass-kissers who think they know everything and who kayfabe everything on us, because we're given more credit. We should be given more credit for knowing more than what we do. And as long as these people are within power, people like John Cena are always going to be on top. They're always going to be the go-to individuals to get things done. And I really hate how things are going. In terms of a creative direction in professional wrestling, there is nothing going on creatively, and people would more rather spread rumors about political issues in professional wrestling on news websites than document what is actually legitimately happening, because there's really nothing in all reality happening for professional wrestling, and that's unfortunate for people who are just suffering watching the product. More people are finding a reason now not to watch Monday Night Raw, which is their only live show every week, with a scattered live show done on the network from time to time. More people are finding a reason not to watch the product than they are to actually see what's going on, because wrestling is at a point now where you watch it once every 3 to 4 months and you're caught up on everything that you missed within those 3 or 4 months that you didn't watch it and took a reprieve. I don't blame you for taking a reprieve from professional wrestling with the way things are going, with how John Cena is always on top. Randy Orton, even though he's away from the authority, is still Triple H's go-to bitch. I hate that. I hate how WWE is perceiving itself for being number one when legitimately the ratings are low, and the reason why it's low is because of people like John Cena and Triple H. So can you blame me in wanting them gone? No, you really can't at the end of the day, and you can only concur with everything that I've had to say about people like John Cena. Why these videos have been popping up on our Facebook page about John Cena and how I'm concerned about how he's an issue that goes with a correction all the time. There is a reason behind these videos, and whether you agree with me or you don't agree with me, I am making legitimate points, and I have made a lot of good points in my assumption, in my crusade, if you would, to get rid of John Cena. He's a political issue, in my opinion, and he's one of these political issues that needs to go away, because until he goes away, people like Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler are going to be the ones who suffer, more so wrestling fans, because they're never going to be given the benefit of the doubt, and wrestling fans are just going to have to watch a product which there's no correction in, there's no point of improvement seen or reached every week, and it's just unfortunate. I really feel for you at the end of the day. What more needs to be said? John Cena sucks, and it's time for him to go, which is why our headline is just quick. Give me your opinion on our Facebook page at HGW Entertainment, and on Twitter at Jonathan Clarke 1. You can also leave me your comments on our YouTube channel in the video, in the comments for this video, which I will throw up for you on our YouTube channel at Jonathan Clarke 22, which, by the way, is really appreciative of you if you do leave us comments. And we have over 56,000 channel views on YouTube. The numbers on our YouTube channel impress me all the time, getting up there higher all the time in views. Thank you so much for that. If you aren't following us on Twitter, make sure you do by hitting follow at the top of our Twitter channel at Jonathan Clarke 1, and on Facebook you can subscribe to our conversation at HGW Entertainment with over 1,555 subscribers. I can't even believe it myself. This week, once again, talking about John Cena. I will say this for the record. I do apologize for talking about John Cena for what will feel like for you the 500th time, but I'll probably do it again. I'll do it until, let me say this, I'll do it until he's gone. I'll do it until he's gone, just as I'll do it until Triple H is gone, because we need these issues corrected. They cannot be overshadowing people or other issues in wrestling for as long as what they have or any longer. They have to go, and that's why I've kind of been on this crusade to get rid of people like John Cena and Triple H. If I could, I'd put out a petition to get signatures on to present to the board, because they just really irritate me, how we're seeing the same thing all the time. Nothing is ever being done about it. It's an issue that's going without correction. And there's really no need of it, especially in this era of professional wrestling when it's supposed to be about the new talent. The thing I don't get, I'll never understand, is